What's up, ladies? Welcome back to the Woman Intentionally podcast. I'm your host, Whitney Kilgore, and today I'm super excited because before we start going all deep, getting into some of the more serious stuff that I want to talk about on the podcast, I feel like it's important for us to just do a sister check-in. I want to know how you're doing. I want you to take a real look at how you're doing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all the areas of your life that sometimes get neglected because we are so busy taking care of other people. So before we start deep diving into all the things that we need to be working on and just all the things that we need to discuss as women, I want us to just take a second and just acknowledge where we are in life, what we want from life, and some of the things that we've been doing really good at in life so that we can have so that we can really know where we're starting from in this thing. So as I'm growing, as I'm talking to you guys about growing, it's also important for us to remember that we've already come so far. And sometimes when we're so busy trying to grow, it's hard for us to acknowledge just how far we come. So right now, I just want to thank God for bringing us to where we are right now, to the point that we're even watching a podcast. I'm even hosting a podcast, and we're even thinking about taking steps to really get in tune with who God says that we are and the purpose that He has for our life. So let's do this sister check-in, okay? Let's get into it. So I want you guys to know that I did create a worksheet for you guys. You guys can sign up if you are on the newsletter. You have already received the sister check-in worksheet. It's a worksheet with questions that you can use to kind of take some time to yourself to figure out where you are on your journey. I have it downloaded on my iPad, and it's totally fine if you want to print it and work on it, but take this time for you to just sit down and have some self-care time where you are thinking about who you are, where you are, and all the things concerning just checking in with yourself. I created this myself because like I said, it's often easy to disregard where we are and just kind of focus on everyone else. And I wanted to make sure that we started the season with you checking in with yourself. So with that being said, make sure that you go ahead and download your sister check-in worksheet and knock it out. Some of the questions are on there. How are you really doing today and why? What's something good that's going well for you right now? What has led to this? How do you feel about where you are in life overall? Can you identify one thing that has contributed to the way you feel about life, whether that's good or bad? Like, can you identify one thing, whether it's you being motivated and you being disciplined, or you being lazy, or whatever the thing is that has led you to being where you are in life? Just be real with yourself, sis. No one else has to see this sheet but you. So this is a time to really get honest with yourself. It is very important to acknowledge I want us to keep in mind when we're doing this sister check-in, when you're checking in with yourself, this is just solely about you. We're not thinking about how you saw somebody else doing on social media that maybe you went to school with and it looks like their life is all great. And even if it really is, we're not comparing to anyone else except you. Like, how are you genuinely feeling is what we want to get to the root of. One of the things that I know we can tend not to do as women is celebrate our wins. It's almost awkward for us to celebrate how we're winning and the things that we're doing really good. So I want us to, like, over here in the Woman Intentionally space, I want us to normalize celebrating our wins. Girl, you got a promotion at work. Congratulations. Okay. It's worthy of celebration. You have been being disciplined with your working out. You have been being nicer to your kids and more respectful to your husband. I want you to give it up for yourself. You've been being abstinent, girl. You ain't giving it up to nobody. You have just been staying focused. You've been reading books. Whatever it is, no matter how big or how small, celebrate your wins. If it was something that you set your mind to do and you've been doing it, celebrate your win, okay? Sometimes we tend not to because we're afraid of how other people are going to feel, or we don't want to make other people feel less than, or we don't want it to seem like we're prideful and things like that. But celebrate your wins, girl, okay? And I'm talking to myself in this because I just want to encourage you to celebrate your wins, okay? That's number one. So as I'm doing my check-in, One of the things that's going really well for me right now is my marriage. Me and my husband are getting along really well. I've been doing a lot of work on me to kind of stop focusing on him so much and the things that I want God to do in his life and all of those things. I've been really focusing on myself and kind of identifying ways that I have been contributing to our marriage, whether that be good or bad, and just being really real and honest about those kind of things. I have been, once I realized that I was, once the Lord got me together about being prideful, I started researching sermons on being prideful. I started praying about being prideful. I have started to just acknowledge times that I'm being prideful and ask God to really just help me with those kind of things. So I have been really asking God to help me in the areas of my life that I need help in. And I also acknowledge that doing monthly resets have really helped me to stay consistent, to accomplish a lot of goals this year. So if you are in a space of like you're looking back and you haven't really completed any of the things that you said you wanted to do, I want to encourage you to write down some goals at the beginning of each month. Like I've been doing that on my YouTube channel, but I've been writing down goals each month and then coming back to revisit those goals and see where I fell off. And what it does is it exposes you so clearly, right? You see all these things you say you want to do, and then you recognize that your actions have been the complete opposite of it. And so it just really makes you check in and say, hey, what am I doing every week that is not allowing me to get closer to the goals that I'm setting, right? So we set all these fancy goals at the beginning of the year, but then we don't take the step to figure out what does that look like on a weekly and daily basis. So I want to encourage you to do that. We still have 2 months left in the year, November and December. So this month, sit down and take some time to figure out what you want to accomplish this month, whether it's saving or whatever goals that you have for yourself, and then break it down to see what that looks like on a weekly basis, and then go even deeper. What does that look like on a daily basis? How many times a week do I have to do it to be on track by the end of the month? And when you do that, it will help you to recognize what you need to do so you don't get to the end of the month and realize, girl, you've been slacking, okay? Because that's not what we want. So I want to encourage you to do that. Set some goals because it has really been changing the game for me. Spiritually, so where I am spiritually is very important to me. And as Christians, a lot of you are Christian women. Those of you that are not, I'm hoping you become a Christian woman, okay? But being okay spiritually is very important to me. And so spiritually, I have been in a really good place, really working on my relationship with God. I can't believe that I've spent so much time as a Christian not really having a prayer life, not fasting, and not really reading my word, just thinking that I'm doing good out here and that was enough. God expects so much more of us, and I would not have realized that unless I was really working on my relationship with him. So for me, I'm doing good spiritually, but it's something that is a daily thing that I got to do. I got to pray daily. I got to read daily. I got to try to, keep him in mind when I'm doing things throughout life, right? So I want to encourage you in the same way. Where are you spiritually? Have you been reading? Have you been fasting? Do you pray, sis? Like, there's no shame here. I'm asking you these questions because maybe these are the things that are hindering you spiritually. So have you been praying? What does your prayer life look like? Do you just send up a prayer when you get upset or when you need something from God? Or are you genuinely seeking God on a daily basis? I want to encourage you to be real about where you are. And then, ask God what a good prayer life looks like for you. Is that you getting up in the morning or you getting some alone time at night? Ask God what that looks like for you so that he can help you bring that full circle, so that he can help you, so he can give you a desire to get in, so he can give you a desire to start doing those things more. I can honestly say that since improving my prayer life, like really just forming this relationship with God, these habits of trying to pray, of praying more often, it's like I hear God so much more clearer. And so I want to encourage you, if you haven't been doing that, sis, prayer is where it's at. So it ain't got to be all fancy and extra long. You figure out what works for you. And I'm telling you, once you start getting in the presence of God, you're not going to want to get out. It's going to be like, man, it's been an hour already. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So where are you spiritually? And what does, and where do you want to be spiritually? If you are saying that you're serious about your walk with God, What does that look like? Has it been in the past? What would you like it to be? What's been hindering you? Those are the kind of questions I want you to kind of check in with yourself on and make a conscious decision and a conscious effort to do better with. So I went through myself and did some of the check-in, and it really had me thinking, right? What's one quality or behavior that has had a positive effect on your life? And I will say, like I said, my monthly resets have really been helping me to acknowledge where I am and where I'm falling short. What's one thing you want to accomplish before the year is out, and why? I want my book to begin printing by the end of the year. Like, it's ready to go. It's almost ready to go to the publishers for like review and all that stuff. But I'm hoping that by the end of the year, we can at least start printing or have a plan to start printing. That's something I've been working on since April. And the only way I've gotten this far is because I've been setting goals for myself every month and checking in to hit those goals. So, again, that's one thing that's been going really well. And then also, who are the people in your life that value you, and who are the people that don't value your energy and your efforts? I feel like that's important to take a look at, because as we start to kind of work through some of these things that may be hindering our relationship with God, it's so important for us to acknowledge who are the people that we give the most energy to, and who gives us the most energy. Where are we spending our time? How do those people affect us? Is it positive? Is it negative? How do they make you feel when you get off the phone? How do you have to prepare yourself before you get on the phone with them? What are these things? And how do you make people feel when they get on the phone with you? You may be in a space where you need to recognize, like, man, every time I talk to someone, it's kind of negative. Every time I talk to someone, I'm kind of dumping. Maybe I need to try to have some self-control and be mindful of what I'm doing when people call me, so I can maintain good relationships with people who love me. Just taking some time to really sit in who you are, how people experience you, how you experience people, who are the people you love being around, and why do you love being around them? What can you do to make sure that you are bringing people the same kind of joy when they're in your presence? I would encourage you to think about that, to think about where you are and, how you are showing up in the world, whether that's for your children, for your husband, for yourself, first of all. And how do you feel about that? Are you okay with how you show up every day? And if not, what can we do to change that? I'm going to be honest with y'all. There were so many times in my life where I was not happy with who I was and how I was showing up in the world. And God is still showing me so many things about myself, helping me to be content with who I am, helping me to love and embrace myself. But I think had I not been intentional about who I am as a woman, a lot of that wouldn't be coming. I wouldn't be in this place right now of being able to talk to you about it, and at the same time working on myself, right? I got so much work to do, but I'm excited. Because of the work that I've done in the past, I'm looking forward to the work that I'm going to be doing in the future. When I grow and when I become better, it's not only benefiting myself, it's not only going to, allow me to be content knowing that I'm doing the thing that God wants me to do, but it's also going to benefit my children, my husband, my grandchildren, my friends, my family. All of these different things kind of fall into place when you get yourself together. So if you are in a space of you feel like you're on a good path, like you're in a good space, sis, I'm happy for you, okay? I'm super happy for you, and that's awesome. If you are not in a place where you are genuinely happy with yourself, that's what this moment is for. This moment is for you to just acknowledge that, and not in a condemning, like I got to beat myself up type of way, but for you to just say, let me give myself some grace. I done been through a whole lot of things. I've overcome a lot of things. And now I'm in a space where I want to start asking God for better things. I believe that I'm worthy of better things. I believe that there is more purpose for me. I have more potential than I'm giving myself credit for. So I'm hoping that in this moment, that is what you are doing. If you're beating yourself up, stop, okay? Right now. Just stop and give yourself grace. I can honestly say, I feel like I caught on to this personal development thing way later in life. And when I caught on to it, I wasn't thinking about it from a biblical perspective. Now, at this phase in life, after going through some things and achieving success in the world and making rank in the army and being in a good place financially and stuff like that, the stuff that I thought was very important, God has me in a season of, you got all that stuff, and now what? You've done all that, and now what? Are you really fulfilling the purpose that I have put you on this earth for? Are you fulfilling the purpose that I had for you when I formed you in your mother's womb? And when I started to think like that, a lot of that other stuff really didn't matter, right? Because I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm glad I was able to do all that, but I want to do the thing that you want me to do. What is the purpose that you have for my life? Those are the questions I had to ask. And that's the question that I'm hoping that you will start to ask. I got all this stuff. I've been doing all of these things. I've been chasing the man. I've been chasing the dream. I've been chasing the money. I've been chasing the body. I've been chasing all of these things, being a boss and all this. I've been chasing all of these things, but I still feel like there's something missing. And I think that thing is you, God. So what is it that you would have me do? How am I holding myself back? Is fear holding me back? Am I afraid of failure? Am I worried about what people are going to think? Am I worried about giving up things that I don't need to be holding on to anyway? Like, what is it that's going on in my life that is preventing me from really being close to you, God? I think if you start to ask that question, God will begin to show you. In order for you to hear him, though, sis, you got to be intentional about blocking out some of the distractions. You got to be intentional about blocking out some of the stuff that you're watching on YouTube, some of the stuff you're seeing on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. Some of the people that's in your ear are going to have to be blocked out. You got to start to separate yourself and put yourself in a position to really hear from God. And that's with praying and fasting and reading your word and getting around women who are trying to do the same thing. Because everybody not trying to do the same thing. Everybody that says they're Christian is not Christian, okay? So you got to look at the fruit that they're producing in their life and determine if you're going to attach yourself to them, because they can help you. They can help you and encourage you on this journey that we're all on to get closer to God, okay? I know that was a whole lot, but I hope that it made you think about where you are and where you want to be. I don't think we need to wait to 2024 to start figuring out what we're going to do and setting goals and stuff. Sis, you can start today. You can start today. And that's what I want for you. So I'm excited for you. I hope that this sister check-in made you think a little bit more intentionally about who you are, where you are, and where God wants you to be in the future. How you've been holding yourself back, what you're doing to keep yourself on track, and just kind of, give yourself some kudos on today, all right? Because you've come far, but God has more for you. So we're trying to get everything that he got for us, okay? So with that being said, do all the things, sis. Do what you got to do. Live life, take care of all the things. But while you are living life, don't forget to woman intentionally. I will see you guys in the next episode.